The Velites were the light infantry skirmishers of the Roman Republic, playing an important but often overlooked role in Rome's military success during the Middle Republican period. Active mainly between 211 BC and 107 BC, they served as the fastest and most mobile soldiers within the Roman legion. Unlike the heavily armed legionaries who fought in close combat, the Velites were designed for speed, harassment, and disruption. Their role was not to stand in the main battle line and exchange heavy blows with the enemy, but to weaken enemy formations, create confusion, and protect the heavier Roman infantry before the main fighting began. Though they are sometimes overshadowed by the more famous legionaries, the Velites were an essential part of Rome's battlefield system. The Velites were usually the youngest and poorest citizens in the Roman army. Because Roman military service in the Republic was originally linked to wealth, soldiers were expected to provide their own equipment. Wealthier men could afford armor, large shields, and better weapons, while poorer recruits had to fight with lighter and cheaper gear. As a result, the Velites wore little or no armor, which made them far lighter and more mobile than the heavily armed infantry behind them. Their standard equipment included several light javelins, a short sword known as the gladius for emergency close combat, and a small round wooden shield called a palma for basic protection. Their javelins were designed with thin metal tips that could bend on impact, making it difficult for the enemy to throw them back. In battle, the Velites normally formed at the front of the Roman army. Their primary mission was to engage the enemy before the main lines met. They would rush forward, throw volleys of javelins, and attempt to disrupt enemy formations, injure soldiers, and create disorder. After this opening attack, they would quickly retreat through the gaps between the Roman heavy infantry lines, allowing the hastati, the first line of heavy infantry, to advance and engage the enemy in close combat. If needed, the Velites could return later to continue harassing the enemy from a safer position. This flexible hit-and-run style made them highly effective in preparing the battlefield for Rome's heavier troops. The Roman legion during the Middle Republic was organized into several layers, and the Velites played a supporting but highly strategic role within this system. The heavy infantry was divided into three lines: the hastati, who were younger and less experienced, the principes, who were older and more battle-tested, and the triarii, veteran soldiers who acted as the final reserve. The Velites were attached to these heavier units rather than forming separate, independent formations. In a standard legion during the Second Punic War, there could be around 1,000 Velites supporting the main infantry force. Their integration into the larger battle structure made Roman tactics highly adaptable and dynamic. One of the Velites' most important strengths was their effectiveness against unusual battlefield threats. Heavy infantry often struggled against fast-moving or unpredictable enemies, but the Velites' speed allowed them to handle these situations far better. They were especially useful against war elephants, which could cause chaos in dense infantry formations. At the famous Battle of Zama in 202 BC, where Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal, the Velites played a crucial role against Carthaginian war elephants. After launching javelins at the charging animals, they used their mobility to avoid being crushed, retreating behind the Roman lines and reappearing to attack again when possible. This made them far more effective against elephants than standard heavy infantry. The Velites also served important roles outside direct battlefield combat. Their speed and light equipment made them useful as scouts, screeners, and defensive guards during marches. After Rome's disastrous ambush at the Battle of Lake Trasimene in 217 BC, Roman commanders adapted their marching formations to reduce vulnerability. In these new arrangements, Velites often served as part of advanced screening forces or rear guards, helping detect danger and protect slower units. During camp construction, while heavier troops set up defenses and tents, the Velites could help guard the outer perimeter. Their flexibility made them valuable beyond simple skirmishing. Historically, the Velites developed from earlier Roman light infantry types, particularly the lev, who served similar functions in older Roman military systems. The Roman army evolved significantly over time, and the Velites represented an important stage in this evolution. They became especially important during the difficult years of the Second Punic War, when Rome needed greater tactical flexibility against enemies like Hannibal. Their official emergence around 211 BC appears to have been partly driven by manpower shortages, which forced Rome to recruit poorer citizens who could not serve as heavy infantry. What began as a practical military adaptation soon became a permanent tactical feature. Despite their usefulness, the Velites eventually disappeared as Rome's military system changed. Around 107 BC, the military reforms traditionally associated with Gaius Marius transformed the Roman army into a more professional and standardized force. The older class-based distinctions between soldiers largely disappeared, and specialized categories like the Velites were dissolved. Light infantry duties increasingly shifted to auxiliary troops recruited from non-Roman populations, who often had specialized combat skills better suited for skirmishing roles. Although they existed for a relatively limited period, the Velites were an important part of Rome's military success during the Republic. They represented the flexibility, adaptability, and tactical intelligence that helped Rome defeat a wide range of enemies. While heavily armored legionaries often receive most of the attention in Roman military history, the swift and agile Velites played a crucial supporting role in many of Rome's greatest victories.